This afternoon, I'm going to attempt to give some clarity to the events that led up to the shooting of the Portsmouth police officer yesterday afternoon. At the end of my statement, I will answer a few questions as best I can, as this is still an ongoing investigation. On Monday, November the 6th, at approximately 2:45 p.m., my officer was responding to a call when she came upon a male in the 2500 block of Hickory Street. My officer had knowledge of the subject and knew him to be a runaway. As my officer attempted to take the runaway male into custody, a struggle ensued. During the struggle, the male suspect produced a handgun and shot my officer numerous times. One of the rounds was stopped by her ballistic vest. My officer then took cover behind her police vehicle and radioed to our dispatchers that she had been shot and gave a detailed description of the suspect. A retired police officer, a retired Portsmouth police officer, G.A. Brown, came to the officer's aid during that time. As units began arriving on scene, Detective Alexander and Detective Dyer started rendering first aid to my wounded officer, which ultimately saved her life. Medics then responded and took my officer to a local hospital for treatment. Additional officers responding to the area heard the description given by the officer and located the subject entering the London Oaks apartment complex a short time later. That 15-year-old suspect, who still had the officer's handcuff on his wrist, was taken into custody without incident. The officer underwent immediate surgery upon arrival to the hospital. Last night, her condition was listed as critical but stable, and after her second successful surgery overnight, the officer remains in serious but stable condition. The 15-year-old male suspect was charged with malicious injury to a law enforcement officer, unlawful use of a firearm in commission of a felony ×3, attempted capital murder, aggravated malicious wounding, possession of a stolen firearm, discharging a weapon in a school zone, and escape by force. At this time, his name cannot be released because he is a juvenile. However, the suspect remains in custody at the Chesapeake Juvenile Services. This investigation is still ongoing, and we ask you to continue to pray for our officer and her family during this time. I will now take a few questions.
As far as the pursuit, did any officers fire at the suspect?
No.
You said veteran police officer. What did you say before that?
I didn't say veteran.
Or
retired police officer rendered aid?
Yes.
How did that come about?
He apparently either lives in the area or was in the area. He saw the officer struggling with the individual and stepped out of the residence he was in. And that's when he said he heard the shots being fired, and so he immediately went to her aid when he saw her on the ground.
Are you able to talk about why she was in that area? Was that just her designated patrol area, or was she responding to something?
She was responding to a separate call for service, and she saw the juvenile and she recognized him.
We heard a report, this from a witness, that there was a burglary in progress, and she saw that, or maybe saw him there. Was that the service call? I'm
not aware of that.
And as far as the charges for the juvenile, is there a chance that you could charge him as an adult?
That's up to the Commonwealth Attorney.
The call that she was responding to, was that related to this suspect or separate from?
I do not believe so.
How long had he been missing, or as a runaway?
I do not know. Any other questions?
How has this been for your department today? Now it's been a whole day. It seems like a lot of people obviously were affected by this yesterday.
I mean, it affected everyone. I mean, both the department as well as the public, as much as you could be expected if an officer gets shot. So, okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
We want to thank everybody for coming. I'm going to have a copy of the Chief's talking points to pass out to everyone. So just see me on your way out. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to call me.